As of today, the housing market has reached one of the most historically expensive periods. Today, I want to equip you with some of the information around topics that are important to understand. You will likely find that some of them are common sense, but you may be surprised by some of the reasons that housing prices will continue to rise. All of this information comes from a study performed by the Joint Center for Housing Studies of Harvard University, which I will link below. Let's look at the data. This video will probably feel like I'm bouncing around from one topic to another, and I will be. By the end of this video, I want you to understand many of the factors going into the housing market and develop an opinion around how you might be able to use them for your benefit as a data-driven investor. Housing has continued to rise at historic rates, with the Case-Shiller Index showing that housing is up a crazy 47% since 2020, while rents are also up 26% over the same time frame, trailing the prices of homes. Cost burdens are high on individuals, while primarily the cost is burdening renters more than homeowners. Most of the difference in cost burden is because many homeowners have already locked in their mortgages, which makes their home much more affordable than if they were forced to buy it at today's mortgage rates and prices. To demonstrate this, take a look at the chart from Harvard, which shows the average mortgage rate is around 5%, and the current rate is much higher than that at 7%. This is causing people to not want to move from their homes, which means that existing home sale listings are remaining low. But that also means that new home builders are enjoying themselves, with new home sales increasing by 4% since 2023. This all makes sense because according to Harvard, the total monthly payment on the median priced home is now $3,096 after taxes and insurance, which would mean that if someone is wanting to use good financial planning and kept their housing cost to less than 28% of their income, they would need to have a household income of around $133,000. According to the U.S. Census Bureau in 2020, the middle class ranges from income starting at $42,000 and going up to $123,000. So on the high end of the middle class, some people would just barely be able to afford a median-priced home. But if you're in the middle to lower side of that spectrum, you're a middle-class earner who probably can't afford a middle-class house. You might think that this unaffordability would cause housing prices to fall or to bring them back to a more affordable level. And that did happen for a very brief period in 2022, but they're back on the rise now. The limited supply of sellers has helped to fuel the rise in home prices. 6 months of home inventories is the general benchmark for the real estate market to be in a buyer's market. But the US currently has around 4 months of inventory due to the lack of people selling their homes. Harvard attributes this lack of inventory to 3 primary reasons. The first, people cannot find suitable changes in housing at an affordable rate due to their low locked-in mortgages. Second, older individuals are not moving from their homes. They state over the last 15 years, the share of homeowners ages 55 and over grew from 44% to 54%. And third, investors are purchasing homes at an elevated rate since 2021. Any time that an asset grows at a rate much quicker than its long-term average, people should begin to question if it can continue at that rate. Going back to January 1987, home prices have averaged around 4.41% annually. This doesn't sound too crazy until you hear that over the last 12 years, we've averaged around 7% per year. This is much higher than the long-term average and will be difficult to continue, but Harvard states that there are a couple of underlying themes that could continue to push prices higher. Firstly, population growth. Although you can see that the bottom of the chart shows that our natural population change is declining, immigration into the United States is growing at a much faster pace, and all the people moving here will continue to need access to housing. If immigration continues at this pace, it could continue to push the prices of housing upward due to basic supply and demand principles. Secondly, the Harvard study states that the national housing shortage is severe, estimated at more than 1 million units. This means that the supply is still not at the proper levels for how many people need housing. We will still likely need to build more homes because so many people are unwilling to sell their houses with locked-in interest rates sitting at levels below the current rates. Personally, I don't have many takeaways from this data, but what do you think? Did some of these factors surprise you, or what else do you think could be contributing to the higher cost of housing? And what possible solutions are there? Let me know in the comments below. And if you already have a mortgage and a home and you're considering whether you should pay extra towards your mortgage or if you should invest, click here to see a video I made on the topic.